Thanks for joining us together as we review our second after party movie, Interstellar, otherwise known as
There Are No Such Things as Ghosts.
which is perfect because we just did that thing on
or
Ghosts.
quality when it comes to this movie.
Oh, come on.
Okay, it's not that.
So
that
I'll have to say, I don't have it up right now, but if you go to the community channel for either Interstellar or Arrival, it was a 9-to-1 difference.
9-to-1 difference.
90% people wanted Interstellar versus 10 or 1 on Arrival. So that's a huge difference. Now, the thing here, though, was that we had, and I have to be official now, this is science fiction, so I have to wear my coat. We had, huh?
Nothing.
Make sure I get it in your face as I'm doing it. We had, of that, over 250 respondents that came into that. So
250 responses came into it.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
they voted.
Many, they voted.
How many voted for the poor movie?
90% of whatever.
90%.
So,
okay.
So
well,
we're doing our 90% today. This is our 90%. And we're doing this again as
I want to openly debate anyone that comes on here and says it's a good movie.
You are going to be sorely outnumbered.
Hey, it's not the first time.
This is it. So what we're doing with this is different from a normal review. When we take a movie and we do the ratings from 1 to 10, and then we go through and we look at the theatric review, which is basically taking the movie apart and saying what worked on this movie, what didn't from a theatrical standpoint. Plot, special effects, characters, how is the acting, everything, how it all gets put together. And then after we do that, we take a look at the thematic review. And that's really the golden nugget of this channel, to say, are there any themes or messages in here that can be looked at as possibly being a parable or a Christian message that is in here? Not necessarily that the people that wrote the story or put it together had any intention of doing whatsoever. This was just entirely based on what our observations are. Is there something good here that we can use as a message to people that either are Christians or not Christians, to say, listen, there's an eternal truth embedded in here. But we're going to be doing this differently. With these after parties, what we're doing is you're saying, hey guys, if you get a chance, check out this movie yourself, and then we'll take it apart together. Now, this is going to be different with also just not only checking the chat to see what's come in, but also, if you're brave enough to join us live
and openly debate me on if this movie sucked.
And we know that it did not.
Or not.
Yes, definitely did not.
Or sucked.
It did not.
Or sucked.
So
I'm just being honest. I'm being impartial.
Guys, come on. I need some help with this guy over here. We need to put him in his place and see what we can do with it. But another thing that we're going to do with this movie too is that we are going to be looking at this in terms of theatrically also. This movie follows what's called the hero's journey. And this was written, there's a book that was written by John Campbell years ago called A Hero of a Thousand Faces. And this was something that a lot of writers and movie producers have used as a guide for developing stories. Not so much that it's formulaic, although sometimes it's that. An example of that would have been Star Wars, the original Star Wars: A New Hope, where you have this hero's journey. Luke Skywalker goes through certain steps. So I'm going to pull that out. We're going to be looking at that too as we go through. So that's what we're going to do theatrically and also thematically. So as we step through this, you call in, you make your comments on the chats, and we will be reading them voraciously to see what you guys have to say about this. Before we get started, I want to see what you have as what's your beef with this movie?
There's some really good points. In fact, there's some fantastic ones. I think the fact that it if you guys, whenever you watch the beginning of it, it starts with this whole Dust Bowl concept. It's actually people who actually did live through the Dust Bowl in America. It's part of American history that's not focused on much because it happened at the same time as the Great Depression.
Right.
And that sort of overshadows what happened over there in the Dust Bowl. And it was very interesting to see that applied there. Now that I found cool. There's a lot of elements in this movie that I find cool. There's a lot of elements in this movie I find dissatisfying.
You all together, you found dissatisfying.
I found it all. The cons outweighed the.
Okay, and we are going to be putting up, I want to let you guys know right from the offset that we are looking at spoiler warnings for this, because we're assuming at this point that everybody joining us from this watch party has seen this, or either like this guy has no desire.
I already watched it again, and it reminded me how much I hated it.
Oh, come on.
I was like,
this
man,
really
and
good.
I even, okay, be honest with you, I went back
really
in there, and I was like, maybe I was wrong with my first one. Maybe I got wrong impressions. Maybe this is a lot better than what I thought. I got to the end. I was like, nope, it's worse than what I remembered.
Okay. So what we're going to do too is, and I don't have this in here yet, but I will be putting in the description. I forgot to do it before we started the live stream tonight, but I do have we'll have a link in our description. If you would like to get an advanced copy of my short story that is coming out the 1st of July, so just less than 2 weeks. And if you would like to get an advanced copy of that with the expectation that hopefully you're going to write a review, and it's going to be an honest review. I mean, if you really think it stinks, I hope that you wouldn't put the review up. But if it's an honest review and you want to put it up, and it would be helpful. They're all helpful with this. So Taste of Earth coming out July 1st. I'm going to put a link in the description below for this live stream that will, if you click on it, it will send you to a location that possibly you can get a advanced reader copy. Now, I'm only going to be dishing this out one at a time to you guys, so it'll just be for the first few contenders. After that. So also, you might be able to contact me another way if you can't get it that way. You still like to get it. So on July 1st, I'm releasing it, and then that's going forward. Now, next week, we have coming up. Yes.
Arrival.
You're going to have another chance.
Still a sucky movie.
Are you just saying it was less bad?
It's less bad than
Interstellar.
Okay.
Well, it's between this one next week and Contact.
I don't know about Contact.
You actually don't have an opinion?
I don't think I know about Contact. Well, I don't think I've watched it yet, so I guess maybe that would be my vote.
Okay.
Just because I haven't watched it yet,
there's a
so
theme
it can't be
here
that
going
bad,
on.
hopefully.
And the reason why there's a theme is because maybe, quite possibly, it has something to do with this here. I've already gotten a review back from, or just an email back from one of the people that did pick it up, and they said they really enjoyed it and looking forward to it more. So as we get more feedback. So
I guarantee I like your book more than I do this movie.
Okay, so we're I'm keeping an eye on comments. No comments yet about
you can't argue with that one.
Oh, you do want that one, huh?
No, I said I like your book more than I do this movie, and you can't argue with that.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
Ha! I got him. I have won the argument.
Now, Interstellar aligns, like I said, aligns well with Joseph Campbell's. I said John Campbell. It's Joseph Campbell. Excuse me. Joseph Campbell's Hero with 1,000 Faces. So we're going to walk through these. They're called beats as we go through. So they're just kind of like signposts, and this will give us a chance to comment on each other, comment on the movie, as well as looking at any kind of themes that we start to pull out to say that, hey, these would be a good parable. Now, I did have one comment here that I wanted to pull up. I think this may be a bit of a misunderstanding, so I want to make sure I clarify. Joshua Wooden says, I did not catch a parable. I noticed Lazarus, but not the parable Lazarus, but the brother of Mary and Bethany. So, yeah, that is mentioned in the story. Lazarus is mentioned, but that's not the biblical Lazarus. Although it's interesting because they're talking about basically a second chance for Earth, almost like a resurrection type of thing here. So maybe that's why they chose the name. But yes, that is not one of the things that we're looking for here. We're looking for something that is a message that somebody who's watching this movie would say, oh, that's cool. I like this. And they say, oh, yeah, did you see such and such part of it? That's sort of like Jesus said, the kingdom of God is like, and then fill in the blank. And that's what we're looking at for these things. So the first one is ordinary world. That's when the first beat in Joseph Campbell's Hero with Joseph Campbell's Hero with 1,000 Faces. The first beat really is called ordinary world. You establish the character in his or her world, what it's like for that person growing up, what they're living and stuff like that. And what was the situation? What was the situation that the main character Cooper was in?
Well, the whole entire situation was depressing.
Was depressing.
He's a astronaut that's stuck on a farm.
Right. Well, it opens up with him as a test pilot, right?
Yep. Test pilot and gets fired.
He gets fired. He
sucky day.
He was not able to. You like that word today? Was not able to. I don't remember. Was his mission not a complete? Was not a success?
Nope. He ended up crashing.
Okay, that's right. He ended up crashing. So
that wasn't his fault.
But that's not the whole point. The point was establishing that him as his pilot, as intelligent, ingenious, he was able to figure out more of an engineer type of mindset that this guy has. But he's living on a world that's dying. Earth. This is a dystopian future. And for whatever reason, this is where I think they fell a little short. I would like to have seen an actual reason. They didn't focus on the particular reason why, but the Earth is dying. At least plant life is.
It's this blight thing that keeps going through, and it seems to be targeting different species of plant every year.
Right.
And they're down to basically corn.
Corn is
the
last
only food substance plant-wise that yet survives.
And they end up with these Dust Bowl-like conditions, and that's why they were showing cuts from the 1930s Dust Bowl, which would have been similar to this situation.
That's, again, a really interesting part of history. I'm really glad that they pulled it in.
Right.
Even though I don't like the movie, I still really love that part.
So one of the cool things about this particular scene is you see him and his child, Murph. Now, he has 2 children. The mother has passed away. And the son, played by Timothy, is it Chalamet? I don't know if I have an image of him in here. I think I do later. He's Paul Muad'Dib from Dune, which we did a review on not too long ago. He plays that character. It's a bit of a smaller part. He's younger in this than he was in Dune, obviously, but the focus is primarily on Murphy, which is his daughter. So this is the two together, and there really is a strong bond these two have. Not that he doesn't have with his son, but it's different. He
doesn't actually have very much with his son.
Well, you don't really see it because I'll say that, and you might say this as a father too, that even though I really don't say that I have any favorites, and I really don't have any favorites, I have a slightly different relationship with each of my children. And this is what he had here.
Yeah, but it almost seemed estranged there about midway through, but yeah. True. And we'll get to that in just a bit, what happens with that and why there was that a bit of estrangement with his son. So he lives with his children on a struggling farm in a future Earth where Earth is facing environmental collapse. Okay. That's the first beat, the ordinary world. The second beat is the call to adventure. The call comes when Murph's ghost. Now, this is kind of interesting, this whole thing of ghosts. Now, she is also intelligent. She's not one for flights of fancy. She's very scientific, which, by the way, they're pretty much ostracizing, or they're vilifying science and technology, because they're looking at that as being the reason why there's the blight. And it could be the reason why they do have the blight. Right? Yeah, but they're still not. Yeah. But yet that could have fixed it as well if they would have studied the blight. Right, and that was his argument too, because you're saying that they're even questioning the whole Apollo landing. Yeah, and as being nothing but a hoax. Right, he gets called into the school and says, your daughter caused this fight because she was saying that the Apollo was real, and we know the Apollo landing was not real; it was just fake. And he's saying, what are you talking about? This guy was involved with NASA. He was involved in not really their space program necessarily, but as a test pilot. And so he's saying, listen, my wife would still be alive today had you guys not basically thrown out scientists and the MRIs. It could have found her. I don't know if she had cancer. Cancer, I think it was. Okay, so that would have been done. So all these things are building up. So I'm going to take a look at Thomas Hall. Some of the comments here. So this is where we're inviting you guys in, and we also have a link here for call-ins, right? Yep. If you guys want to call in, just click the link that is now shared. It is also pinned at the top of the live chat. Okay. Second. Okay, good. All right. So looking at some of these, I'm going to put up
Josh Wooden. So I've not previewed this, so I'm going on faith here, buddy. He said the filming was supposed to take place in the Colorado desert area. They filmed in Alberta, Canada, and Iceland for the desolate locations. Good, except for Alberta being part of America's evil top hat. There's a lot of filming that goes on in Canada. The Star Trek SG-1, I think they did a lot of the filming up there. It's funny. That's for other planets. You know, for other planets, you go to Canada.
That's because there are a bunch of aliens up there, and they're all crazy. So
no, they're not.
No,
they're not.
They're
Canada. Good people.
It's okay.
My dad was Canadian. So Thomas Hall said there is a theme throughout the Old Testament that when God blesses the people, he also blesses the land. The reverse is also true, shown by the plagues of Egypt. Okay. So that's cool. That's cool. So here, I don't know if I'd say it's always the case, but I would say that generally speaking, and some of that might be good stewardship of the people too, good practices like the Levitical law said that you needed to give your land a Sabbath rest every seventh year. You're to give it a rest. That's part of the reason why their captivity was the period that it was, because of all the stack up years that were missed for Sabbath years. But think about crop rotation. This is a type of crop rotation. You're not you're not taking all the nutrients out of your land. You're letting that develop and set through. So there's some of that goes with it too, in addition to supernatural blessing from God as well. I think that's a good point. Prowl32 said $5 his stream is taken down by YouTube.
I doubt it.
Which I'd be curious to see.
I've done some pretty crazy stuff on YouTube.
I'd be curious to say what that was. Now we did have our last, which was our first after party was restricted.
Yeah, but that's not because of anything was said. That's because of copyright stuff.
Yeah. So
and
I am not sure. What's that?
Not obeying fair use laws.
Okay. So just a real quick note on this. Last week, a week ago, we did our first one, and it was on The Martian. And I worked hard on it. I had a lot of clips in there. We were showing the clips. I made sure all the clips were under 30 seconds, and it was all synchronized. Everything goes through. It was a really good presentation. As far as, in my humble opinion, it was a good presentation. After within 12 hours, it had gone down. It was probably because they're automated.
Their automated system doesn't understand fair use laws.
Right. And so this would have been under fair use, and now it has been released. So you can go see The Martian. Unfortunately, the peak that you get with original people watching it and being the algorithm showing it to people, that ship's been sailed. So you're not going to get as much views on this once it's gone through the ringer with that. So I'm kind of choking it back a little bit, even though that was within fair use and they agreed because they put it back on. Unfortunately, I can't. I would have loved to shown videos with this and we go through each one. That would have been fantastic. So I'm curious why you would say
probably the Canadian comment. Because those Canadians, they're going to come down and they're going to take down our stream. No.
Who was it? Who was the comedian that said when he went across the border to Canada, they said, "Do you have anything to declare?" And he said, "Yeah, war." We are not doing that. No, we are not doing that. We're not suggesting that would be done. And then Josh Wooden says, "Oh, and Joseph Cooper was in NASA and an engineer, and John, as you yourself are an engineer, that is correct." I had to Google most of what he said. It went over my head. Yeah. So this was not getting into it yet, but the science in this was really cool. They missed it on some parts, but they paid some pretty close attention to relativity, time dilation, and a lot of other things in here with the Tesseract, the fourth, you're going into a black hole, having time shift with space. That whole concept, there was a lot of things that were in there that were really good. And a couple more comments before I move on to others. He added, "Oh, hey, if I call in, how should I use my phone or a laptop?"
You could use either or. This is StreamYard, so I'll ask you for what name you want displayed. and then it'll add you on in, and we can call you on up. You do need a working microphone at least. I mean, you don't need to use the camera.
No, you don't have to
You
show.
just need microphone.
It's more entertaining. It's more engaging, I should say. If we do see,
yeah, you can see your shocked face at this video. At this,
you can debate this guy. So yeah, it does make it easier for the chat if we have somebody. We had somebody on last week. She was great in engaging, and want to see if we can keep doing that. That's why we're doing this as a let's discover the themes together type of principle instead. So we had this call to adventure. So this is the second step in the beat, or the second beat in the Campbell scenario. Call to adventure. The call comes when Murph sees a ghost, a gravitational anomaly, provides coordinates to a secret NASA facility, leading Cooper to discover Lazarus' mission and possibly saving humanity by finding a new habitable planet. So it was all because of her. She comes in and she finds us, and it's easy to disbelieve. It's easy to just push it off to say it's nothing, because what she's saying is kind of weird. Her books are being knocked off. The little model of the lunar lander is getting knocked off and got damaged. It's kind of weird. Why would she say this? And she's got this room that's just, this one wall is just filled with books, this big bookcase. And so she says that to her dad. Her brother, of course, doesn't believe her. She's dismissed. Then the third beat is you have a refusal to the call. Cooper initially hesitates, torn between his duty to save humanity and his responsibility to his children, particularly to his daughter Murph, who doesn't want him to leave. And there's this big tug of war back and forth. And I think that's the scene right here where she said, don't leave. And somehow he figures out what the anomaly is, giving him messages. Now, I got a problem with this. The first message.
You only have one problem with it?
Well, yes, I actually had a problem. I know you got plenty.
I have a book.
Okay, so he gets these anomalies, right? And
yes.
He looks at there's lines on the floor. He says, oh, that's binary. Okay. And then he says, oh, those are coordinations. That's a location that's there. He figures out its location. Now, going from binary to a location, if it's giving longitude and latitude,
that would need a lot more lines than what there were in the movie.
It would, because it's a step. I mean, longitude and latitude, those are just numbers, and to have that precision that they're looking for this, he'd have to go to degrees, minutes, and possibly seconds. So that's a lot of data to have there, and to put it down in binary, like you said, that would be a lot of numbers. And but it's just even if it were just a bunch of lines that were there,
mm-hmm.
Skip,
it's a
line, skip, line. It is, because it could be anything. It could be a phone number, right? If the binary was just series of numbers, could have been a phone number. I would have looked at it and said, okay, those are like the crests of a wave that you're hitting here.
Yeah, what's going on here? Why are we having this wave thing go on?
So, yeah, and you know what, though, movies or books or stories will have that and say, okay, I don't care. I just keep on going. But it did seem like it was kind of odd. So I checked the comments here again. Okay, so how do I look for my microphone on the laptop? Settings at the bottom.
When you join in, it will have options where you can set your microphone and your headphones, as well as your video camera if you want to use it. It'll walk you through that.
Okay.
When you join. So it'll make your life easier.
It should be straightforward enough, I think, when you do it. So there's not a whole lot of buttons and dials to deal with on this.
It's actually pretty simple. That's one of the reasons I like StreamYard so much.
Right. So he has this, and her ghost appears, and she says, hey, this is happening. He believes it, and he digs in, and he ends up at NASA, and NASA tries to recruit him. So this is his call to do that. Now, meeting the mentor, he goes in and has a chance to meet a former professor of his, Professor Brandt, who provides guidance and explains the mission and encourages Cooper with the possibility of saving humanity. He says, now this is your hope. And it seems plausible. Now, Cooper does have that. We've already established that. He does have this ability, this training to be a pilot, and it is in this particular craft that they're going to be going in. So it's not a stretch. It's not like
it's very convenient.
Yeah, it's not like some guy like I'm a pilot, and he was only flown a Cessna, and they asked him to fly a 747. It's not going to work that way.
No.
Now this is entirely different. So he does meet this mentor, and he what's the inspiration now? Where are you having problems with this?
Oh no, I'm following along. So far, I haven't had any issues with the movie.
So far
I'm fine.
Okay, so the issues that you had with
the issues I have are still in the future. We're good. So far, the movie's great.
Okay, I'm a little apprehensive.
I love the beginning. Like I said, I love the beginning. I love the history, pulling out some of that old history, putting in the movie
from the 1930s.
1930s, yep, wrapping that in, and then having the pictures of the dust storms coming across and how they had to cover up and all this stuff. And they're explaining, whenever they put plates. In fact, I found this very interesting because I still find families who do this, which really make me question if they had ancestors that were in the Dust Bowl. I'll see people put plates or bowls whenever they put them in storage. They'll put them upside down. In the cupboard, they'll put them upside down, so it's facing down, so the dust that would come in wouldn't land on where you're going to put your food.
Okay,
so it's very interesting to see those sort of traditions still stay in the family. So it's cool. I love history like that.
Okay, so we'll hit the next beat and see if it's there. Now, so far we've just been hitting beats. So far we've been talking about plot. Is there anything in here that you see so far that would actually be a parable or be a good example of Christian theme? That
I don't think so yet. I think coming up here soon.
I think maybe in this next beat there is.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and again, we're looking for you guys also in the comments to pull these out as well. So let's see what we got here. Thomas Hall said Michael Caine's 5,000th movie. Yeah, I don't even know if if he realizes
he's actor, though.
If he realizes he's in movies. He's just filming and is this a movie now? Are we in one now? Oh, okay. So yeah, you're right. I mean, what's his filmography?
Lots of them.
Yes.
I loved him in Batman.
Some characters are so iconic, it's hard to get them out of your mind with this. And there is a character in here that comes later. We'll see. It was difficult for me, especially since you saw a recent movie of having him in there. So let's see. One last thing. It says, I can't tell if he's sarcastic or not.
A bit of I guess so.
Who? You or
the actor?
No, he might. Oh, no. He's yeah, okay. Responding to Michael, the comment about Michael Caine. Okay, so we have, I'll let you do the
caller. Come on in. Welcome. Can you hear us?
Do a sound check.
Hello.
Yes, we hear you. Can you hear us?
How you guys doing?
Pretty good.
Good.
Fantastic. You can hear us fine?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So give us a brief intro to yourself. Who are you, and what brought you here?
Yeah.
I would assume the link.
Obviously the link. But Josh, could you tell us who you are and what your background is with the movie and or science fiction in general, and what brought you to this channel?
Oh, I primarily I think there's an echo on this.
I'm not hearing any echo.
It could be because his headphones. He doesn't have.
Ah.
Are you using headphones?
Do I need headphones?
It would help with an echo.
Okay.
Okay. So as he's doing that, see if there's any other comments here. We're good. And you're putting that up again?
Yep. Putting that up.
So again, this is a link that will show us if you guys want to join this. We can have more than just two. What would you say?
I think you can have 6.
6? Okay.
6.
I was going to say, I think it was 9, but I might be thinking
10.
about Zoom.
I don't know.
Okay, so we're working on the part where Cooper is just about ready to launch. Did you have any other comments before we get started, Josh?
You might be working.
I think
on
he's
the
working on his
headphones.
headphones. Okay, so as he's
I also
doing,
want to know if you actually like the movie or not.
I'm not going to give him a chance to say that he didn't. So we'll just keep going. So before they take off, the professor talks Cooper into going. He says, "Listen, this is your chance to save humanity." Cooper says, "I don't want to leave my family." He said, "This is for your family, so that they could do this." And he says, "Listen, this is our plan. Plan A is you get out there, you find this planet, we can all go. But if it ends up being that we can't go, there's no way for us to get there, then plan B is they have basically a bunch of fertilized human eggs, human embryos, they're frozen that they could bring to term a few at a time to basically have a homegrown colony. And it would be the people that are the original astronauts would be the parents of whoever would be born. And that way they can establish themselves on this new world. That's the idea.
So we've established that his main driving force is he wants his family to live.
Okay.
He cares about his family.
Yes.
That's his main driving force. And he's doing this even though he's sacrificing now with his family. He is doing it so that they will survive. And he may one day see them again.
Yes.
And get to know them again.
I think we're coming up on one of your issues.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Hypothetically speaking.
I think you're correct. I think we're heading there. So there's he does go. He does decide to go. It's hard to leave his daughter there, but they launch. Take the vehicle. He's the pilot, and they're heading for this wormhole that's, I believe, Saturn, right? And
Out
that
by
wormhole
Saturn.
takes them to this supermassive black hole. Around that, there are 3 planets that are rotating around that black hole. Okay, so Josh, I think we were done with your sound check and everything.
I think so. I can't get the headphones to connect.
Okay, but
Okay.
are you still getting an echo?
It sounds good on our end.
Yeah,
We don't hear any echo.
we do not hear an echo. So if you get an echo,
Yeah,
it's
I
just-
am. I have the headphones, but I can't get it to connect to the laptop.
Okay. So this, if it's difficult for you, this might be short-lived, and maybe next time around, we can get that resolved. So, do you have any comments on this so far? Looking to you, Joshua.
Do you like the movie? Do you not like the movie?
Yeah, the movie wasn't terrible. I don't know what Eric is talking about. It definitely wasn't the best movie in the world, but it wasn't horrible. It was sort of confusing.
Yeah.
It had ghosts and aliens and a lot of different things going on.
Well, okay, so I'm going to cut forward a little bit because I'll say we do have the solution for this at the end. There's a couple of weird encounters they have, both with his daughter back home and then on the ship as they're going towards Saturn and then eventually towards the planets around the black hole. She sees some kind of spatial anomaly within the ship, and she reaches out to touch it. And she says she's made first contact with this transdimensional alien species. That's what she believes, right?
Right.
Now, I'm going to put a spoiler alert up again to make sure everybody sees this, that we know this is spoiler territory. Who is the ghost?
Our main character.
Do you know, Joshua, who the ghost is?
Yeah.
Okay. So they're not really dealing with ghosts here, right? This is him this is Cooper being able to talk to his daughter because
Yeah, it was Joseph. He was in the 5th dimension or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So there's that. And then he also is the one who makes contact, touches the other crew member as they're transporting. So both times that's him. That's not a ghost or even aliens. There's really no aliens involved. It's just him in this whole situation. But yeah, this can be confusing going through. And so let's talk about the next beat, the sixth beat that's going on: test allies and enemies. So in the next thing that happens in the movie is that the team faces numerous challenges, including navigating through a wormhole, landing on potentially habitable planets, and dealing with time dilation.
Yeah, choosing the worst planet out of the three to land on first. I mean, seriously.
Well, that's the problem, though. They got information. They didn't know which was the best one.
They knew the time dilation wasn't it was a factor, and that by itself would disqualify that planet from ever being good to pick anyway.
Why not? Because when you're on the planet, you can still live.
Yes, when you're on the planet, you're living 7 times. For every hour you're there, it's 7 years outside. Okay, you have an alien species outside. They are going to outpace you in no time. You have basically doomed your species to the best case scenario being a reserve.
I see what you're saying.
If the aliens just decide to put a blockade around you.
If you had contact with an alien species, they would become hyper advanced in no time flat compared to what you are. Is that what you're saying?
Because 1 hour of yours equals 7 years. That is crazy.
Yeah. There was somebody else, another channel that pointed this out. They said in the music, when they're on this water world, there is a beat that you hear every 1.25 seconds. Boom. 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 As they're going through. And they're trying to get this stuff done as quickly as possible, right?
Yes.
They got to retrieve the information packet and get out.
Get out of there as fast as possible, yeah.
And while they're there, you have this beat. That's 1 day is passing for every beat that is going on. They put it into the music itself.
That is actually really cool.
It is cool.
But it's also
worth rewatching that one part. It is terrifying.
Yeah, actually, it's worth I'd be tempted to rewatch it because of that.
Yeah. So and the music too is very we have to say something about the music. Hans Zimmer. Because you're doing some calculations?
Yes, I'm doing some calculation. I'm figuring out how many. Okay, if I stayed on that planet for 1 year,
okay,
we're looking at 61,000 years outside. Because there's 8,760 hours in a year.
Okay.
So that's how much time would be. Okay, so in 1 year span, if you're on that planet for 1 year span, the entire human race's history would fit on there for you being there 1 hour.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to check in the comments here.
An hour.
One of the questions asked earlier, and I skipped this because we're going to be getting to it soon. On one of these planets, yes, we do cross Mark Wahlberg in this movie. Now, he was the main character in the movie that we did last week, The Martian. He shows up here. And ironically, he's on one of the 3 planets that are possibility that they sent these scientists to, these astronauts to check it out, to get samples to say, hey, is this a good place to live? And he is one of them. And he ends up on this ice planet. And this is, I'm going to bring up Joshua again. So we're on the ice planet. And here are the planets that we're looking around. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this or not. But it shows all the planets there. In the gargantuan is in the middle. So Miller's planet, that's the water planet. The Endurance is the space station that they're on. Then they end up on Dr. Mann's planet, which is the ice planet. So here's the water planet as they're going through. Start with 3, they end up with 2, right?
Yeah.
And
don't do the one that has the time dilation first.
They got to go there. What it was is she went to retrieve the package, right?
Well, she went to retrieve the person because they thought the person was still alive, but they weren't calculating. A bunch of scientists forgot to calculate in the time differential, even though they keep talking about this time differential.
That's true. So they go. There's this massive monster wave that's there, and for reference, that monster wave. Let me get rid of comments here. That monster wave was. You can see in relation to the Empire State Building in New York what that wave would have looked like.
Yes,
tallest
way
wave that
too tall.
I guess his recorded history is about 100 feet. This would have been 4,000 feet. So 40 times that is the one that they encounter.
And for somehow they missed it while they were flying down to land.
Yeah, that's not the horizon beyond him. That is the wave itself coming up. So then they end up on the ice planet. But I'm going to check. You had a problem with this, right?
Oh, the first one was stupid.
To go there because
they lost 21 years.
Well, I tell you what, if that's the only planet that's habitable,
they had 2 others.
Okay, I know. But I mean, given a choice, I mean, that's the only place you go there, right?
I don't know. Again, that is a long time for 1 year.
You might want to just try to fix Earth even more. Okay, so Joshua, do you have any comments about what we've talked about so far? Can you hear us? And I don't think he can.
Yeah, I'm still getting an echo. I don't know what's going on. I have my headphones.
Do you have YouTube up in the background?
No, it's just the StreamYard.
Okay.
Odd.
Well, those headphones, they're not blocking out his hearing. They're just doing addition. So I think it might be the headphones themselves that might be the problem. But anyway, did you want to make any comments, or we just say that, hey, this isn't working because of the headphone situation? Usually handle live streams, so
yeah. I'll just go with the comment with you guys.
Okay.
And I will just add that basically the premise of Genesis of sin entering the world and God cursing the earth, right?
Okay. So that's what would have been seen earlier with what was happening with all the crops dying. Is that what you're saying? We're actually seeing that live itself out,
right,
to its natural conclusions. Okay, I think that would be boy. You'd see that in a lot of futuristic movies, a lot of dystopians. That would be something that would be in there.
Yeah, the dystopian future. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Good point. Okay, so because we're having the technical issues, I'm going to go ahead and we'll see you in the chat then.
Okay, thank you guys so much.
Thank you for trying with this. So yeah, anybody who's brave enough to get up there and work through this, that's fantastic. So my hats off to him. So we end up on the ice planet. So what's the problem? Do you have a problem with the ice planet at all?
No, it made logical sense to go to the ice planet.
Okay, so the biggest issue here that you're saying is they made a dumb decision.
Made an incredibly stupid decision for a bunch of scientists who are used to working with theory and time relativity to say that let's go to the planet that we definitely could lose a few years on.
Okay, so there's a bunch of people here that you would say are allies that Cooper then has teamed up with these other crew members. They seem to be good. You got Brand, the professor's daughter. You got Romley, Doyle, and even Tars, which is the robot, which is really kind of cool. I thought it was dorky at first with the robots being flat like they are, but they ended up actually.
It's a different design. It was very interesting.
I've never seen that design before. But then you run into an enemy, and he's not expected. An enemy that you wouldn't expect here. So they end up on the ice planet, and there you go. Matt Damon, good guy from The Martian. We are pulling for him last time, and he is not the guy that you would expect. Again, I got to stress, if you're coming in this late, we are talking about major spoilers here because we're walking through this movie looking for themes, looking for what we can pull out as a Christian theme for all this. And after we hit these planets, I think we'll take a step back to see if there's anything new and check the comments to see what you guys say for that. Let's see. I'm sorry, missing where we are with that. Ice planets. What in the world? Oh, sorry. I went down to videos. Ice planet. So we have Matt Damon. He's Dr. Mann, and he had ulterior motive. What was the deal with him? What happened?
You want to
with
get
him?
off the planet. You sent there as a first recon, got stuck on the planet.
Mhm.
The planet sucked. He got unlucky, and he's basically supposed to sit there and die. And he's like, I need help.
Right.
This planet is great.
Yeah, and so now we got a betrayal here. This is someone, especially that one of the other astronauts is looking forward. She really wants to see him. She's basically in love with him.
No, that was the other guy. It was the other planet, not this guy.
Was the other planet?
Mhm.
Oh, I'm
was the other
sorry. I thought
planet.
it was this one.
It was.
But-
she was in love with the other dude that went to the other planet.
Okay. So they come here with Dr. Mann. He is set up to he's supposed to say, hey, this is a great place. You guys come and live there. But the only reason why he did that is because he wanted to be rescued.
Yep.
To get out of there. And he is so bent on plan B. He says plan A was fake. And that's the other twist that we find here is this whole idea of actually getting there and then bringing everybody from Earth. The professor knew this was not going to happen from the beginning.
The main objective of the main character fails and then fails and then fails and then fails.
Well, okay, so the professor is saying, hey, we get there and do this, but he's just saying this is not going to happen. The only way that we can save humanity is by getting these eggs out there, get a new colony started. And this Dr. Mann, he's in on it. He knows, right? So he takes off and he goes back up to their space station. He says, I have to do this. I have to get
jacket and take it to the other one.
Right. He's going to say, forget about everybody else. Every man for himself. Now, this is a theme I want to bring up. This is talking about the hubris of humanity. He believed he was 100% right in what he was doing.
Oh, absolutely.
Even though he betrayed him, he believed he was betraying them for a good cause. And so I don't know if anybody else would agree with this, but I would see this as a theme to say, even our best efforts, human beings, because of our sin nature, we get a warped sense for what's right and what's wrong. We need God to be able to have that guidance ultimately to know which way to go. He was willing to kill those other guys, betray them, leave them for dead, so that he could save humanity by taking those eggs. And he almost destroyed the ship in doing so.
Yep, almost destroyed everything.
Yeah, so that is where we see the destruction here. And at that point, we have no choice but to be able to, and this is where Cooper makes his big sacrifice, that he gives himself up for the others to be able to launch them out so they can keep going to the other planet, right? And he falls into Gargantuan because they did not have the escape velocity they needed. He does his Hail Mary move to get out. So this would be the eighth beat ordeal. The ordeal peaks when Dr. Mann's betrayal, subsequent fight, and near destruction of the Endurance. This represents the climatic point of pushing Cooper to his limits. And he is willing to give up everything to save everybody else, right?
Yep.
Okay. So here, I'm going to check the comments here. Said, okay, I'm going to go back. I think we missed some here, and I apologize for this. Talking about the water world, you'd also be doing 7 times the work on the outside aliens per hour. It even out. 7 times the work of the outside aliens per hour.
Not really.
I don't think so. I don't think that works out.
Because you're just 7 times, well,
you're slower.
Not even 7 times slower. I mean, you're significantly slower.
Right.
So.
Yeah, for one day for every,
I think like
second and a quarter.
1,000 times slower or something like that. I forget what
you would look like you're standing still on this. This is very much like Time Trap that we did a review on not too recently either. And yes, we have Marky Mark. He's the bad guy though. I didn't want him to be the bad guy.
Yeah, that was a little
I kept pulling and saying, no, come on, dude. You know what it's like. We all helped you out on Mars. What are you doing here? You can't do this. Yeah, he was really giving up. It says, I will never trust a space movie Matt Damon is not in. The first Martian, and now Interstellar. I would say both of these are winners. I don't know what his filmography looks like. If it's always a space movie with him is always a winner or not. But that's a good point. Prowl 32 says, if there's a Dr. Man in the movie, is there a Dr. Woman? No. And this is where the show fails. We do not have proper equality here. Is that your problem with the movie? There was no Dr. Woman?
There's stupid mistakes. A bunch of these scientists did.
Yeah. Yeah. And he corrects himself in. So, no, this is Matt Damon. I'm sorry, dude. I lost faith in you in this one. Dr. Man, he was a terrible guy. So then you have the reward. The 9th beat is the reward. There are 12 beats altogether. In description, the reward initially is the survival of the crew and the realization of the necessity to continue the mission. Later, it becomes Cooper's ability to enter the black hole and access the Tesseract, where he can communicate with Morph and provide her the key for solving the gravitational equation. It ends up being that the whole thing where you've got the frozen embryos, that is not their salvation. They thought they would be able to, plan B doesn't work. They were able to do plan A. And that was because of the messages that Cooper is able to give to his daughter. And only because of time travel. Now, here's the odd thing. There is a theory in with black holes that as you enter in that time gets slowed down so much that time and space then interact, that they flip, that space is like time and time is like space. You could actually walk through different you can walk through time. And that's what you're basically saying here. Now, from what I understand, the aliens, they're not really aliens, they're versions of ourselves later on, we're able to...
Yeah. Okay, so if humanity didn't survive, how could humanity help itself survive?
Well, you got to time...
Because all of this was based upon them being able to... They're the ones who made the wormhole. They're the ones who connected up.
Well, it's kind of timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly... You just
okay, so if they are descendants of humanity and they were able to survive on Earth, why are they erasing themselves from time by going back and cheating so humanity has an easier out? I don't know what.
I don't think they wouldn't be erasing themselves.
I don't know how that.
No. I think it works out.
It doesn't make up. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I think it does. So.
Unless the action unless the reaction precedes the action.
That could be.
That's the only thing that would make sense.
So he goes in. This is the Endurance is then able to escape, and he goes in, and this is the Tesseract. I think this is a pretty good visualization of it. I don't know how else you would be able to.
That would be really difficult.
Illustrate the fourth dimensions, and Tesseract is a fourth dimensional cube. And not just something out of the MCU. So you have this. This seems to be the key point. This is Murph's bedroom. This is where the supposed ghost was. This is where he got the coordinates for NASA from. And it ends up being his interaction with her is the driving force with it that goes in. And I thought that was cool. So you would say this would be confusing, more or less?
I would say no. I think this makes sense as far as being able to trying to describe, fifth dimension area. I mean, that is difficult and hard to do.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and Josh said that this is last try. You got Bluetooth headphones connected now, and I'm assuming now that you want to.
Give it a shot. See if you can come in and join us.
Let's do this.
Hey, welcome.
He's hiding us. He's there we go.
Can you hear us?
Do you have an echo? And maybe not.
Okay, yeah. I think it might have the opposite issue where there's no sound.
This is a problem being live, guys, and having direct. There we go.
We
got
can hear
sound?
something.
We hear you.
We hear you.
You hear
Can you
us?
hear us?
No, I hear you. There's still an echo, though.
Darn. So close yet so far.
Okay. Yeah. We're just going to go back to comments then. Just keep the show rolling. Nice try, though. Appreciate it.
Maybe we can get that worked out for next time.
Yes.
So, okay.
Put that in there.
So he's stuck behind the wall, which is still a question to my why is he in the gosh darn wall, but we'll go ahead and go with it, being that's how reality works, that you're stuck inside the wall.
Well, he is able to send those messages to her. He is able to get that level of communication.
Very fine-tooth communication.
Yes. And she does solve the riddle for gravity, like we were talking about, and then that's what's able to get them out to that. So he finally comes out of this.
Yep. The only reason humanity found out how to time travel and how to control gravity was because humanity itself gave us the secret to do it, because the future of humanity came back and told us.
Well, if you're behind your daughter's...
I'm talking about the aliens. Well, the future human species in the fifth dimension.
Right.
They're the ones that even let us indicate that we can control gravity.
Okay, that's true. So he is able to get out.
Cheating. It's cheating so bad.
I thought it was good because we get a time travel in here. And I thought it was well done. It is a little confusing, but it's just the nature of the type of story that it is, and I believe it does not contradict itself. That's one of the main rules here. So he does find that roadblock. The 11th beat that we're looking at is resurrection. Cooper experiences metaphorical resurrection when he's rescued and brought back to a space station where he is reunited with aged Murph, his daughter.
And how much time went between the time that he was in there and Murph? Because that seems to be quite an age jump.
Yeah, it was quite a bit. This resurrection also symbolizes the birth of humanity, how now with the means to survive. So with meeting his daughter, this is also a confirmation that they are on they're on Station Cooper. And he thinks, oh, how nice. You named it after me.
Yeah, nah,
that's so sweet. And no, it's his daughter. But here, and what's really cool is you do see the 1930s Dust Bowl guys are giving their presentation. There's a video of them as they walk by to a recreation of his home, which is now a museum. Now, beat number 12. There's a problem with that. We'll come back to that in a minute. Beat number 12. The elixir, he returns with the elixir. And this is what happens with the hero of 1,000 faces, the hero's journey. He goes out, he defeats the monster, defeats the problem, comes back to his home. And you get a chance to see the transformation or the change in him. Now, this habit had happened with Lord of the Rings. You had the hobbits were just basically farmers starting off. They go on this journey, they come back, and it didn't show it in the movie, but does show it in the book, how they return as heroes and are able to save the Shire because of it. And you see the transformation, especially in Merry and Pippin. Not so much Frodo because he's been damaged by the ring. But Merry and Pippin come back and they're able to they're completely transformed. They're not the hobbits just looking out for stealing mushrooms. They are full-blown warriors. Well, something similar happens with Cooper in here. He returns, but he has returned so much with more knowledge and not so much as a fighter. But the problem is it's not the same. The elixir is the knowledge that Cooper provided through the Tesseract, which allows Murph to solve the equation in humanity. Murph's personal return involves being tasked with a new mission to reunite with Bran, establishing a new human colony on the final habitable planet. He comes back to this space station, and it's named after him. Great. Everything's cool. You've got crops. You're self-sufficient now. But it's a museum.
Let's be honest. He never liked farming to begin with. He hated farming.
Well, no, say he.
No. He hated farming because the whole point is he goes back into his daughter and he looks at, you told them I love farming. And she looks at says, yeah, I did.
I'm kind of mixed between the two because
Oh no, he hated farming. He wanted to get off that farm as fast as possible.
Pretty much living on a farm, and I'm an engineer, so there is that.
So I'm sorry, I don't see that.
Well, he wouldn't. My point is that he would not be able to fit in at the end. Everybody he knows is now passed away and died.
He's got an entire
Except for
huge
his
family to get to know now.
That's true. They're extended family, and he's like great grandpa to all these people, right?
All these people get to know him, and his whole driving force for this entire movie
that is true.
is I will put aside my family for now, so I will return to them one day so that they may survive. He goes off, he succeeds, comes back, not by any real struggle of his own, because he's just fumbling through this entire thing, going from one event to another. He doesn't really have any plan, any action, other than just, let's try this and see if it actually works. And finally gets back there, gets to his family, and see ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. And head off for the one woman who the entire time was antagonistic to him in every regard.
There was some romantic attraction.
She had the thing for the guy on the planet she wanted to go to.
True. But
she had thing for him. And she really, I don't see at any time that they had a really good relationship. I mean, she's always biting at him.
Help me out here, guys. He's burying me in facts.
It just doesn't. Okay. Stay with a family who loves you, who wants to get to know you, who some of the family members were named after you, and they really look forward to knowing you. Or go after the crazy woman who really hates your guts on a desert planet, which she's probably snoozing away happily, or she started her own colony. Again, we've had such an age gap. She would be just as old as Merv is there. She's probably dead.
Well, okay. I have to hand it to you. I think you're right on this. I think they did blow it with the they blew it with the characterization here. I don't think they would have actually have pulled it off.
This is in complete contradiction to his established character from the beginning. Why he had to be tricked to go out there. And tell you truthfully, again, it feels like he was failing at every turn while he was out there and just stumbled accidentally.
Well, maybe his definition of family was just his immediate family, his two kids, and then any kids after that he really didn't have any connection with. But I think that was
okay. Then you gotta go to the woman that's probably dead, because again we're seeing a huge time gap in between when he entered into the Tesseract and when he got out.
Okay,
and she's on this desert planet, struggling to survive. She would be at least equivalent to his daughter's age.
Well, here we go. So this is a colony. It does look like it's hard. It's a challenge. You'd have to start from, because
and she doesn't look like she
the space station looks pretty cool. I mean, you could hit a home run through somebody's living room. I mean, that's what could be better than that, right?
Send a rescue team for the woman on the planet. You sit back and help train the next age of pilots.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
You get to be a scientist again.
Okay. All right. I'll give that to you. I still like the movie.
Again, I like some of the concepts. But I think they really screwed up with the characters.
I would have to agree with you. The ending was disappointing in that regard. So I'm going to check the comments to see what you guys were saying here. It says... the Joshua Wood said the three actresses playing Murph in three different ages looked realistic. Yeah. I would say that the casting was
good.
Was pretty good on this. It's a little bit more difficult, I guess, when you have an older person, because the color hair, the facial change, and things like that. Your face really does change over time, especially when you get older. So yeah, they had multiple characters for a lot of the different parts, because of the age differences between there. So she was one of them there. Well, I'd say, so looking back on this, looking at a theme, I would think Dr. Mann's theme of showing hubris there was pretty saying that he had to do this. Now, here's the problem with hubris. There needs to be a drive to get things done, but at the same time, that can blind you to reality. If you're so focused on a job that you can lose focus on reality itself. That the truth can't get in there. So you've got to be careful with that. I think that's a lesson that's learned. As far as looking for outside help, there's a lot that you can say in here with regards to the extra dimensions in the spiritual realm. I think that's a springboard that you can use for people here too.
I think his original drive on, I want to save my family and I want to make sure they get the opportunity to survive, and the love of a father for his family, I think is the major one. And even putting that aside and viewing the entire race and saying, for the good of all, including my family, I will lay down everything if needed. I think that
because self-sacrifice for family and larger humanity,
and keeping an eternal mindset on that, not just looking at the now, but the generations to come.
I think that's an advantage then that Christians have with that too, is that we have the focus that this is not it.
Nope.
Even though we are giving up our life here, that's not the end. It's not the cessation of reality. Now, he probably thought that. There's no indication that he was a Christian.
He was God-fearing at all.
Yeah. And in some ways that makes the sacrifice greater because you think that's it. There's nothing else out there, where we would know that, we're serving the Lord. It's a lot easier. So, okay. Checking last comments here for anything else that people wanted to add to it. Josh, he's more for your side than my side. Josh gave it, I would give given it a 9.
I give it a 4.
A 4?
A 4.
Wow.
Sorry, okay. Inconsistent characters. Definitely when that's the main driving. Definitely when that is the way the antagonist attacks him. Definitely when that is like the main cornerstone of the character. And then at the 11th hour, he just flips that on his head. And be like, oh, nope, doesn't matter. That and the consistent failures. The feeling that there was a consistent level of failure going on. That they were never able to accomplish anything.
I would not say that's a problem with it. We'll get back to you, Josh. I would not say that that's a problem here necessarily with the story. That's a lot of life is a consistent fail, win.
Yeah, but it seemed like every plan he had to obtain, he failed at.
I think because most of those plans were long shots.
Even then, you want to pull for the long shots and you want to feel like something was accomplished.
Okay.
I mean, if they would have gone to a planet and it would have been hard and they would have saved someone from the planet, that would have felt like they accomplished something.
Okay.
But they didn't. Every planet they went to was a failure. Okay. And then even when he went into the Tesseract, that was not necessarily by his own doing. That was him trying to make sure she gets out of there and choosing to sacrifice himself.
Okay.
That wasn't a plan. It just happened to him.
Okay.
He was passive.
No, he was. I would disagree totally with that. He was active in that. He was figuring it out on his own, with help from the robot, who was translating from their future selves. But he was doing quite a bit of himself. Okay, so Joshua said 6.5 out of 10 overall. The movie, and I love Matthew McConaughey as an actor. I had to watch it at 100 times volume. His speaking roles are so quiet. Oh yeah, that was something that was I did have as an issue with this. Like,
actually, I have a problem with
through the whole thing. It's very hard to hear what he's saying.
I kind of assumed that's the way he just talks in general, so I didn't care.
He just talks that way.
See, I'm not that harsh on this movie.
Yeah, but it does. I guess it can lend to you have to act more because you're not screaming all the time. You're not being over the top. You have to put more characterization in it by handling it that way. Thomas Hall said, I'm reminded of one of my favorite Jesus sayings, bad paraphrase, you who are evil know how to give gifts to family. Yes, if your son asks for bread, would you give him
a snake,
a stone,
or a stone,
or one of those?
A fish?
Yeah.
The fish was a snake. The bread was a stone.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
And so you're right. He says, even you being evil would do this, then how much more would my Father give you something? So it's positive. There's something positive there. So that's good. But how does that relate to the movie, though? I'm reminded of one of my favorites.
I think that because the good guy, although he wasn't Christian, was still willing to sacrifice himself for his family. I'm assuming.
I don't know. Maybe you could clarify on that. But in the meantime, Joshua has said, John, can you explain the drone thing when they were driving? He worked for NASA and had access to the drone, or his tech was able to take control of the drone over the field while driving. Well, all I can say is he had previous access to that particular drone series, and maybe he had already had a program in it.
It was either Indian or Chinese. Definitely would a NASA specialist pilot would definitely have access and understand Chinese/Indian. I forget which one it was.
It was Indian.
It was Indian?
Yeah.
An Indian drone, yes. And I'm pretty sure it was written in a language that he was familiar with.
He knew Hindi.
Hack. Yes.
Fluently.
That's
a good point. If it was a NASA drone.
Okay, NASA drone. Okay, he definitely, if he'd worked on them before, okay, I could see.
But you know what? There could have been something was international with it. They could have had it with NASA and other. That is not unusual.
Yeah. And besides, programming while you're driving through a cornfield, bouncing all around with a laptop on your lap.
No, that's impossible.
That's completely capable.
I've tried that before.
You tried that?
Yes, I have.
Someone's had an interesting life.
And soybean. Corn and soybean both. Corn's worse. Can't see where you're going. Yeah, when they drove off like that, I thought, no, you're killing the freak. What are you doing?
Yeah, this is like the only crop we have. We have only so many of these left. Let me drive over it.
Okay, so that is crazy. That is crazy. Overall, I would say it was good. I enjoyed it. Music was good. Thematically, it went through. There were some cool concepts here they dealt with. I geek out whenever I see that stuff actually hit the screen. One of my favorite professors helped set this up, Kip Thorne, who I use some of his work for the time travel in my series. So, I love seeing his stuff. So it all wrapped together. I thought it was worth it. I thought it was a good job.
Again, one of the major redeeming qualities is the history. For me, it's the history.
So we have coming up next week. If you guys want to put your 2 cents in, we have these 2 movies coming. I believe timing wise, it is currently in the community section for this channel. You can put your vote in and vote this guy out. Again, please. I had such joy seeing his Deep Sick. Which one of these do you want to see next week? Well, not that one.
Oh, Taste of Earth. I definitely both of them.
Which one of these do you want to see?
I think that one there. Because
Contact.
I don't think I know what Contact is.
Okay.
That one I definitely.
Contact's actually older, but as far as I know, if I remember correctly. So yeah, we do have that come, and also coming up next Thursday, 2 days, we have the new normal. We're going to take a look at, now this is going to be more of a theological approach. We're going to take a look at the ideal being marginalized and the marginalized being made into the ideal. We're living in a culture that's being flipped up on top of its head. And the question is, we're going to establish and then ask the question, what can we do?
Almost like good has become bad and bad has become good.
Exactly. There's a verse that asks this question, what can the righteous do when the foundations are being destroyed? And that's exactly what we're looking at here. And we'll be taking a closer look at that. That's going to be in the AM. Looking forward to your comments there as well. Speaking of comments, to do one last one here. What's the next movie review plan? Hopefully I can figure this out by then. Yes, and that is what we're going to be voting on. One of these 2. It is either going to be Arrival. It's up to you guys. This choice is going to be up to you. Either Arrival or Contact. One of the 2. So.
This one.
Looking forward to that. Until then, you guys appreciate the work that you've done, and see you on Thursday morning.